Top Sports Talk, presented to you by Top Sports News. I am one of your hosts, Caleb Jenneret. Next to me, as always, is my co-host, Isaac Deer. Isaac, how are you today?
I'm good, man. We're back. That holiday, that dang holiday kind of caught us back a little bit. So happy we were able to get together a Fave 5 list last week. But yeah, it's just not the same, man. We gotta talk these things out. We gotta hash them out. My brain is a little slow, so it takes me a while to really operate and figure out things. So if I'm a little rusty today, don't judge too much, but I'll try my best.
Well, we're always a little rusty. Pretty, I don't want to say unprofessional. We'll say uh, unscripted. That's not really the word I'm looking for either. But we're just kind of relaxed over here at Top Sports Talk. But before we get started, I want to thank our gold sponsors, Invista Credit Union and the Family Guidance Center and the University of Kansas Health Systems, St. Francis campus, for continuing to sponsor Top Sports News. Also, want to continue, as always, to shout out the ticker. Keep using it, putting scores in, putting stats in. With baseball, there's a lot of stats. With track, there's a ton of results that can be put in the ticker. Swimming, tennis, everything. Every single spring sport, the ticker still works. So, yeah, keep using those. But yeah, I'm just ready to get into it. It's been a couple weeks now, so let's just start off with softball. So Silver Lake softball continued its red hot stretch with a big time sweep over Rossville and stayed undefeated with its 8-0 record after dominating 13-0 and 16-0 victories over Wabaunsee.
Yeah, unfortunately, I was there for that Silver Lake Rossville War on 24 matchup. I didn't really quite know what the weather was going to bring that day. It looked like there was going to be a Twister sequel coming on. It was hot, it was cold, it was rainy, it was yeah. So I was a little worried for my safety, but my winter weight held me down. So if there was a tornado coming by, I think I would have been okay. Um, so I guess we should get to the softball instead of that little part there. But yeah, no, Silver Lake is rolling right now, man. They great wins so far this season, quality wins. That Rossville's not an easy opponent for Silver Lake. The series before, they took down Baser Linwood, I think is the 5 state runner-ups for 2 years in a row. So obviously those are a pair of huge wins there. And Rossville's a pretty well balanced, and they were undefeated coming into that matchup against Silver Lake. But one thing that really stood out to me was the pitching. And the hitting was great in both games, but the pitching was just so good. It was so good. I was really impressed by Avery Wendy, who's a junior, and Kendra Cook, who's a sophomore. Wendy, as a freshman, she took the state by storm. I think she led Class 3A in wins as a freshman, as a 15-year-old kind of prodigy. But she's been incredible ever since. Kendra Cook, excuse me. She's an underclassman who's really doing a good job of making a name of herself, especially this season so far with some of the pitching wins and pitching bouts that she's had in the circle this year. But those two do a really great job kind of getting out of jams. They trust their defense, both of them. It's noticeable that they do. And they shut batters down just left and right. They both bring kind of different areas of expertise to the table, but are a really dangerous 1-2 duo. So those two in particular have been phenomenal to start out this year. But on the offensive side of the ball, they're just as good at the plate. Their bats they were great last week. They've been great all season. Kira Lowry, Rayleigh Sterling, Taylor Zordel, Cabron Kruger, McKinley Kruger, Mackenzie Daniel, Kaylin Haney, and I'm sorry if I'm missing names, but you get the point. They have really exploded this year. Most of Silver Lake's wins have been really convincing. So it's going to be it's going to be really hard to beat this team, especially down the stretch, because at this point of the season they're already operating on a different level than most teams. So yeah, I'm excited to see Silver Lake play Riley County. The episode comes out on Monday, but it's Sunday. So today, aka Monday, I'm excited to see Silver Lake play Riley County. But this team has just been a different machine this year. So props to them for starting out hot. And yeah, Good for them. Good for them.
Yeah, and the chemistry's got to be unreal. I mean, you mentioned all those names, a lot of those girls playing the basketball team. That was really good also. So very familiar with each other. Very familiar. Moving on to Washburn Rural softball, who bounced back from their first loss of the year with Centennial League sweep over Hayden.
Yeah, it was a tough loss against Olathe South. I know it was a doubleheader split. They beat Olathe South in one game, lost in another. But after that loss, it's pretty evident that they quickly erased that from their mind. Uh, Emerson Cope. I mean, come on now. Let's talk about it for a second. We want to talk about quickly erasing a bad loss. You get Emerson Cope out there. Go Big Red. That's for you, Caleb. Nebraska signee, tossing a no-hitter in the opening game one, 14 strikeouts. She also had a 2-run home run in the third inning as well in that first game. So um, absolute insanity from Emerson Cope. Once again, it's going to be a weekly thing. We're going to talk about it every week. Just absolutely insanity what she's doing on a yearly basis. But other than Emerson Cope, they're a really good team. They were a 6A state runner-up last year for a reason. Most of those girls are back. You think about like Piper Titsworth, Reagan Chapman, Layla Collins, Gabby Martinez, and just name after name after name. They have really done a good job of this year to kind of keeping this train rolling. And just kind of keeping this dominant force still at it once again this year. So I know Piper Titsworth, Emerson Cope, Reagan Chapman, and Gabby Martinez all had home runs against Hayden, and Hayden's a really good team too. So it's like kind of what I was talking about with Silver Lake with Rossville. It's like that's a really good team that they beat. So they convincingly won both of those games, which was great for them. And they had, I think, 4 games after that week with at the College Boulevard Activity Center in Olathe with a tournament going on over there. Kind of looking forward to seeing the final results of those and kind of catching up with everybody and seeing how everybody did. But yeah, that was good stuff from Washburn Rural. Just kind of bounce back from that win. I thought that was an important bounce back, especially in the fashion that they did win. And Emerson Cope doing her thing and everybody else just kind of pitching in and doing their part to making this team as great as they are so far this year.
Yeah, and when one of your best players is a freshman with Reagan Chapman, I mean,
Yeah,
future's bright. Future will continue to be bright over in Auburn. Seaman, wrapping it up, took a convincing doubleheader sweep against UKC School Turner last week.
yeah, convincing. Convincing might be an understatement on this one. Seaman had a 10-run victory in the opener. They won 11-1. We've talked about her quite a bit. Aspen Burgert. She was in the circle for game one. She went 6 innings, allowing just a run, a walk. She gave up 4 hits, but struck out 6 batters. And she also went 3 of 3 at the plate. She had a double, a home run, a few RBIs as well. And Jellison, she went 3 for 4 at the plate. She had she had 2 doubles and 3 RBIs. And Josie Hefner, Kaylin O'Rourke, and Reagan McConnell were also extremely impressive in that first game, that 11-1 win. Not a lot went wrong for them in that game. Obviously, you could tell, the score, the box score doesn't say everything, but it seems like this game couldn't have gone any better for Seaman. And then the second game, they didn't have a problem in that either. They won that one 8-3. Kaylin O'Rourke, she pitched all 7 innings, gave up just a few runs and some walks, but she also struck out 7. Paige Glasgow, she had a solid outing at the plate. She went 3 for 3 with a double, a triple, and 3 RBI. So not bad at all. And Reagan McConnell had a really good game in the second game as well. She went 2 for 4 with a pair of doubles and a couple RBI. Can't leave out Jurley Jellison, Aspenberger, Kaylin O'Rourke, and Josie Hefner as well. They also played really great in that game. So not bad, not a bad day at the office for the Seaman Vikings. They took a tough loss, I think, against Baser Linwood the next day, but they've had a really, really solid year so far this year.
Shout out to the Lady Vikings. Moving on to swimming, we had one invite, the Topeka West invite. Upon Pritchard help rural swimmers win the Topeka West invite as well.
Yeah, Washburn Rural, I think they won 5 total events, posted top 3 finishes in 10 of the 12 events at Topeka West's Invitational last Wednesday. Seaman finished third with 261 points. Topeka High was seventh with 129 points. Hayden was eighth with 81.5 points, and Topeka West finished in 10th with 26 points. But Audrey Appen picked up individual victories in the 200-yard free and the 500 free. She also teamed up with Kirsten Harris and Mara Bear, as well as McKenna Pritchard, to win the 200 medley relay. So that was great. And McKenna Pritchard, she added one individual win in the 50 free. She also teamed up with Genevieve Miranda, Ella Bombarder, Bear, and they won the 200 free relay as well. So not bad for Washburn Rural, as we that's kind of a trademark now, is just talking about how good Washburn Rural is at everything. But Seaman was pretty great too. Avery Walls, she got an individual win in the 200 individual medley and the 100 free. Torin Walls picked up a win in the 100 backstroke as well. Torin Walls, Layla McCourt, Jocelyn Grace, and Avery Walls placed second in the 400 free. And Torin Walls also finished second in the 200 free as well. And I forgot Jocelyn Grace was second in the 200 individual medley. So, and I'm trying to think of anything else. Brianna Devlin, the standout diver for Topeka High, she won the 1 meter diving title. I think she had a score of 253.20 points. And Kaylee Gregg was third, another standout diver for Hayden, with 197.70 points. So yeah, Topeka West invite was pretty much a success for a lot of individuals and some teams. Washburn Rural and Seaman. I know Manhattan, another Centennial League team, took second. So a lot of good performances overall from this invite. But yeah, this is not a surprise to see so many Topeka swimmers doing so well to kind of start out the year.
So this last weekend, we had probably the second biggest track meet of the year behind the state tournament with the KU relays. And we will actually be recapping that in next week's show. There was a ton of sensational athletes that competed. And once again, just a monster event at Rock Chalk Park. There was a ton of athletes, and there's going to be a ton to get to. So yeah, tune into next week's episode if you want to learn about the track meet that happened this last weekend. And then moving on to baseball. So Silver Lake took a pair of walk-off wins over Rossville in a big-time War on 24 sweep.
Yeah, those games, those games were nail biters for sure. When I read Todd Ferdig's story over on the website, I was over at the softball field, which wasn't yards away from the baseball field, but it was madness. But man, those games were close. I know Silver Lake won those 11-10 and 8-7 against a really, really good Rossville team. That's done phenomenal so far this year. So that says a lot about how Silver Lake did. But the 11-10 and 8-7 wins come from behind, rallying walk-off wins. That's just huge for anybody's confidence or if anybody's morale or anything. Those wins, especially when you do it in back-to-back games on the same day, it's just absolute insanity. Logan Cathcart, spoiler alert, we'll probably talk about later. Blake Redmond, Dyson Schuler, Brett Hink, Rogan Renfro, and others. They were just really just phenomenal, and kind of their leadership says a lot about how the way that they stuck together and didn't lose hope or anything in what they could do. And those wins were great. And that really, outside of a couple of losses on opening day against Hayden, Silver Lakes, they've been a really, really good team. They're rolling right now, and Tyler Seal's crew, I think at this point of the season, are destined for some pretty good things down the road with the rest of the years because of the kind of wins that they've accomplished so far this year.
Yeah, shout out to them. And then also Hayden made their way past Topeka West in another sweep in their doubleheader.
Yeah, that wasn't as close as the Rossville Silver Lake baseball games, but saw some great things from Hayden. It was a pitcher by committee night for Bill Arnold and his team. The first game, I think it was a 10-0 victory in 5 innings, and then in the second game, Topeka West kind of put more of a fight on. Hayden still won that 11-1 in 6 innings, but you know they were great in everything. Defense, offense, everything. Jackson Summers, who's a senior for Hayden, he had 5 combined hits in both of the games, 2 doubles, a triple, 4 stolen bases, 2 walks, 4 RBI. I mean, he was sensational. Cooper Grace, Dylan Foster, Connor Becker, Easton Blosser, Brady Hyden. You just kind of go down the list. They were great. Braden Rose, Evan Leonard. I mean, they all had like multi-game hits, multi RBI games. Just absolutely great. I know in each game they rolled out 3 pitchers each. In both of the games, out of the 6 pitchers, they allowed just 1 combined run, which is I think that's pretty good. 21 strikeouts, 6 hits, 11 innings of work. That's a pretty good day if if you're a pitching guy, if you're a defensive guy. But yeah, Cooper Grace, he only got a couple innings in game 2, but he just was just a monster out there, man. He was incredible. And really all the pitchers were. I think Dylan Foster, Jackson Summers, all those guys were really, really good. I'm missing some names, so sorry about that. There's just so many different contributors to those 2 huge wins. Hayden's taken some tough losses this year, like to Manhattan and Ottawa, but if they're winning, man, they're winning big time. Silver Lake, Emporia, Topeka West, those teams, they've done a good job, and Washburn Rural, which we'll probably, another spoiler, get to next. But yeah, pretty sensational stuff so far from the Wildcats and Bill Arnold's crew. They're doing good work.
Yeah, and then as Isaac said, Hayden, we're going to stay over there as they won the first game 4-3 against Washburn Rural, and it was tied 2-2 when they had to suspend the second game due to weather.
Yeah, I know. Mother Nature really has a way of ruining days. Because that second game was kind of on that path to being as fun as the first game. The first game was a blast, man. I know for Washburn Rural, it didn't end the way that they wanted it to, but there was some really good stuff from Washburn Rural. Like in that first game, Sam Bettis, he had a great game on the mound. Some things just kind of didn't go his way, and there's some situations that he couldn't control. But like Aiden Ray and Hayden Fox and Kyle Walker and a bunch of these guys for Washburn Rural did a really good job overall. But yeah, at the end, Hayden was able to rally in that 4-3 game. there was a lot that went right for them at the end after having a lot of things go wrong in the beginning. They had its fair share of offensive struggles and woes from the first inning to about the 4th or the 5th. Connor Becker had a game tying double in the top of the 5th that would score 2 Wildcat runners that made it 2-2. And Connor Becker, in that bottom of that inning as well, there was a ball that went to shallow right field. He was able to scoop it up so fast and just throw it as fast as he could at the plate. He got the runner out, which it was huge because at the end of the day, that could have been that could have been the tie game. They could have gone to extras, and who knows what could happen after that. If you could play the hypothetical game, some things are crazy. But Washburn Rural, with its great situational baseball, because that's what they had last week. Brandon DeWeese, he laid down a really good sacrifice bunt. Hayden's defense kind of made a miscue, and Washburn Rural took a 3-2 lead. I think that was in the bottom of the 5th as well. And really, Liam Anand, he tied the game 3-3 with a ground rule double that just went flying over the fence. And then Evan Leonard, he had a sky high foul ball and it was right into the sun, and it ended up being an error for Washburn Rural. But that would be the 4th run to come in late in the 5th, or maybe it was the 6th. It's either the 5th or the 6th inning, but Jackson Summers pitched a great game. We just talked about him a little bit ago. He threw 107 pitches. He was in that seventh inning with 2 outs. He could finish the batter. So the way the rules work, if you are over 105 pitches, you can only finish if it's in the middle of an at bat. So he's able to finish with 107 pitches, but it was with 1 out remaining in the game. So Dylan Foster came in, closed the door, and Washburn Rule had a great win, a fun win. And then game 2 only lasted until the top of the third, unfortunately. But there was actually surprisingly a lot of action in that first 3 innings in that Rural Hayden second game of that doubleheader. Hayden took that momentum from the last game that they had early into the top of the first. Connor Becker scored on a wild pitch from Washburn Rural. Dylan Foster added a second run from an RBI single. And then Washburn Rural, they added a triple from Kyle Walker, who is just a stud. But then big old Ty Weber. Let's talk about Ty Weber. In the first game, he had 3, maybe 4 hits that could have possibly hit the moon. They were just short of going over the fence. But in that bottom of the first inning, he was so sick of not going over the fence in that first game. He hit a moonshot. And it was a 2-run home run to tie it up 2-2. And credit to Hayden's sophomore Cooper Grace, a great pitcher already, just as a sophomore. He took those bumps from that triple and that home run, and then he just rolled after that. He struck out 5 batters after Ty's home run. But yeah, the game was called off as he struck out 4 in a row, and that game is postponed. I'm not sure where that game's going. To be honest, I don't have a clue yet, so hopefully I figure out soon. I'm gonna go watch Washburn Rural play Manhattan on Wednesday, so hopefully I figure out more after that.
Yeah, for sure. And then wrapping up the baseball segment with Shawnee Heights, as they made a miraculous, I don't want to say miraculous because I don't want it to seem like it's saying that they didn't do it or they didn't earn the win, but they were down 7-0 to Baser, ended up winning 13-9. So shout out to Shawnee Heights.
Yeah, and Baser's not a team that you can really, shake off. Like it's Baser Linwood. They're a really good team. They really didn't have much going for them for a little while in that game, at the plate and defensively. But they finally kind of got things under control in the 5th inning. They were trailing 7-0 in the bottom of the 5th. So that's absolute insanity. Shawnee Heights, just I like to reminisce on like the very few good years that my favorite Major League Baseball organization has had in 1985 and 2015. But the 2015 team was really good at just chipping, just digging slowly, but they just kept on going. But man, Shawnee Heights, I think they had 3 walks, 2 singles, some stolen bases, some wild pitches from Baser because they're getting in their head. But yeah, then 5 runs later in that inning, oh boy, this is a game. So after that, Jaden Holly, he pitched a great game, a pretty clutch performance. He battled through and pitched a great game towards the end. And then the bottom of the 6th, Baser added a couple more. They were up 9-5. Then after that, Shawnee Heights, they just did a little thing, just rallied for 8 more runs. But man, they were how good is that? I don't want to underestimate either. Like, how amazing is it to be down 7-0 in a baseball game in the bottom of the 5th inning to come back to win a game 13-9? Like, that's just incredible leadership from head coach Ryan Schmidt and his upperclassmen in the dugout. And I'm assuming it was the underclassmen too. They were, once they started getting a little something going, they're like, we can do this now. But even when they were trailing 9-5 after that, like, that's just an insane win. So everybody affiliated with the T-Birds that day, I mean, you got to be so proud of kind of the way that they came back and fought through that. So that's just a quality victory, over the top. So congratulations, Shawnee Heights. That's a really, really good win on their part. And I don't want to underestimate that in any way.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I wish I could have been there to watch that one because that would have been a fun one to watch for sure. And then wrapping up the show, well, wrapping up the first part of the show with soccer. Hayden and Washburn Rural went at it for a Centennial League matchup last Friday.
Yeah, Washburn Rural just had one game last week. Hayden had two. I know Hayden started out the week with a pretty long road trip to McPherson or McPherson, whatever you say. Don't be mad at me. Whatever it is, McPherson, McPherson. I'm going to say McPherson because I can do what I want. This is me. I'm an adult, and I can say McPherson every time I want to. But they had a very long trip to McPherson last Monday. Fell short just a little bit in a 1-0 loss. And McPherson, now I'm messing myself up. McPherson got an early goal, a very early goal, 14 minutes into the first half. The defenses for both teams were pretty solid after that, but Hayden just could not find a way to even it up. Hayden and Washburn Rural would both meet each other on Friday at Hayden. Washburn Rural gave Hayden its second 1-0 loss of the week. Kind of unlucky for Hayden, but at the same time, how good is it for Hayden to match up with Washburn Rural the way that they did? That says a lot about how Hayden played because Washburn Rural is just a juggernaut of a soccer team this year. So that's huge for Hayden. Washburn Rural got a goal from McKinley Roan and yet another shutout from Haley Beck. Um, so what's insane about Haley Beck is that it's her fifth shutout in a row and seventh clean sheet of the year. Haley Beck has had 7 shutouts in 8 games. If you do the math, you and I can do this one. I know that's pretty elite. So, but yeah, Washburn Rural gets another victory. They've had just one loss this year, and that was from the Olathe Northwest Invitational. But other than that, they've just been just as solid as you can get. So, Washburn Rural should be one of the Washburn rural girls soccer should be one of the number one things people in this county should look out for weeks to come.
And then Topeka High had a couple of very successful road trips this week against Eudora and Chanute.
Yeah, 3-2 win over Eudora on Tuesday. I think they started out with a 3-0 lead. Eudora kind of fought back, but just couldn't finish the job. So good job on Topeka High, just kind of hanging in there. In that Eudora win, Natalie Barnes had a goal, and Avery Zimmerman, who we talk about a lot on the show. She also had 2 goals, but in a 43-second span, Caleb. 43 seconds. So that's as good as it gets.
Yeah.
Soccer's a hard sport, man. Soccer's a hard sport. So that was pretty impressive. That's an understatement. But after their huge victory against Eudora on the road, they went on to play another non-conference opponent in Chanute. I don't know how far that is, but I know it's pretty far compared to Topeka. So they went down to Chanute on Friday to take them down 10-0. Avery Zimmerman, Haley Carpenter, Lily Corby, Natalie Barnes each had a couple of goals. Rayleigh Shipley had a goal and I think 2 or 3 assists. I'm not sure off the top of my head. It's either one or the other, but pretty good stuff all around for Topeka High this week. Kind of taking a tough loss against Care Paravel the week before, and just coming back with a vengeance and getting some big wins on the road against unfamiliar opponents. Those are always huge.
100%. And then Seaman took a hard fought 1-0 loss to UKC School Piper last Tuesday, but avenged that with a big time 7-0 victory over Leavenworth.
Absolutely. We got to start out with JC Schumann, who had a hat trick, 3-goal hat trick against Leavenworth, against a conference opponent. Always good stuff. Freshman Ava Huston. Jeez Louise, Ava Huston. I was gonna say Houston, but I know the O is not there, so I think it's Ava Huston. Ava Huston and Savannah Nelson accounted for all 3 of Siemens' first half goals. JC Schumann, and Brooklyn Yingling took over in the second half to combine for the Vikings 4 goals. So Schumann had 3 goals in the second half. Brooklyn Yingling had 1. And Siemens' freshman class had 3 combined assists too, which is not necessarily unheard of, but I know that they're missing a couple of pieces with injury. So Avery Tuck had a couple of assists. Ava Galilei, she had one as well. So yeah, huge win for Seaman. And they took their first loss of the season to a 1-0 loss against Piper. So that was a big way to avenge the heartbreaking loss for them.
Yeah, and the winning doesn't stop as we wrap it up with Care Paravel as they stay scorching hot with a big win over the Olathe Heritage Christian.
Yeah, great week of soccer overall for the Topeka and Shawnee County teams. Shawnee Heights with a big win. Care Paravel with this big win over Olathe Heritage Christian. 7-0 road win. The Road Warrior theme is hot in the soccer streets this week. Care Paravel just dominated. And it's very similar to kind of how last year went, with most of that team being freshmen and sophomores. This year, that kind of nucleus, that group, they're just accumulating dominating victories left and right. Zara Fries, Kellyanne Chata, Catherine Keys, Sage Schwartz, Allison Schwartz, Amanya Vincent, Emma Keller, Sawyer Schwartz, and more. I mean, this group is just as dominant as it gets. So I'm excited to see what the weeks come. But this is a very kind of similar situation as we had last year with Care Paravel. They're just playing great soccer right now. And they should definitely be taken seriously in the 4A through 1A race, especially since it's already midway through April. Spring sports, I hate it. It just goes by so quick. It goes by so quick every single year. I'm like, man, spring sports just,
Yeah.
winter sports, you have a lot to talk about, a lot to do throughout a lot of weeks, and fall, even in the fall, there's a lot going on. But spring sports just feels, man, it's just so quick, so quick.
Yeah.
So if you haven't seen them play, or if you haven't seen any of these soccer teams that we talked about play, before you go watch their game, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and then you can go watch their game. But they are, just do it. Just do yourself a favor and thank me later after you subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Yeah, 100%. And I don't want to waste any more time. We got a Fave 5 that we haven't done in a couple weeks now. So let's go.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Oh God. I was distracted by my hoodie. We'll put the blooper clips later.
Try that again. Let's try that again.
All right. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Man, we took one episode off and forgot how to play rock, paper, scissors, and you're still winning. So
winning.
Right. Yep. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Okay. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Oh, okay. We're getting interesting here. Let's go. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Okay.
Oh, I stuck with it 4 times in a row. Oh, man.
I don't know. Couldn't figure it out.
That's a confidence booster. I've been in quite a slump in rock, paper, scissors, shoot lately.
And
so
you were bound to win one of them.
Bound to win one, even after my mishap in game 1 there. But yeah, let's talk about it. My number 5 spot, I'm going to go to Silver Lake and talk about the impact Avery Wendy has had on her team lately. Avery Wendy deservedly earning this spot here. She was on fire in the circle for Silver Lake against Rossville. Snapped on Rossville's undefeated streak, but kept theirs alive. She was dominant against Baser Linwood out of all teams. Baser Linwood is legit. They're an amazing team. She was dominant in that. Didn't get very many innings against Wabaunsee, but Kira Lowry picked it up, and she was that was because they were up, I don't know how many runs. So, Kira Lowry, great pitcher. Avery Wendy, great pitcher. We'll talk about another Silver Lake pitcher potentially that's been doing some great stuff. But yeah, so Avery Wendy obviously deserves a spot here at my number 5.
Yeah, and staying in Silver Lake and talking about another pitcher, Kendrick Cook dominated in the complete game four hitter for Silver Lake against Rossville to keep its undefeated season alive. And from what I read in your story, she showed an amazing amount of calmness and poise to get out of a significant jam in the Rossville win, and then also helped shut out Wabunsee 16-0. So congratulations, Kendra Cook. You made the list.
Sticking with softball here, we're going to go to Northwest Topeka for the Seaman Lady Vikes, where Aspen Bergert pitched an absolute gem. 6 innings, allowing just 1 run, a walk. She gave up just 4 hits, and she struck out 6. And then I mentioned a little earlier in the episode in our softball portion, 3 for 3 at the plate, double, home run, few RBI. Just sensational stuff. She's been lights out all year. But yeah, it's not a surprise how well Siemens doing because of how well Berger and the crew are playing as well. So congratulations, Aspen. You just made the Fave 5.
Yeah. And then moving over to Shawnee Heights, where we're going to talk about Jaden Hawley in my number 4 spot. Junior, who entered the game in the 4th inning and gradually got things under control against Baser, or against, yes, against Baser. He worked a perfect 5th inning, which ignited the T-Birds. Comeback, his efforts hang tight to keep the T-Birds in the game and win it in impressive fashion.
Absolutely. And we're going to stick with baseball in my number 3 spot. It's not spring, it's Summers. Jackson Summers for Hayden, man. He played a pretty he had a pretty great week. Let's not slide it. You know, he's impact on the win against Topeka West, wins against Topeka West, and win against Washburn Roll. I keep forgetting there's a postponement. I just keep forgetting. That game was so good that even in the 3 innings. But Jackson Summers, great week. Had 5 combined hits, 2 doubles, triple, 4 stolen bases, 2 walks, 4 RBI in the doubleheader against Topeka West. And he also earned an extremely hard-fought win on the mound against Washburn Rural with 107 pitches. And he told me after that game, he said that he didn't think about striking a guy out one time. He just wanted the defense to put in that work. So Jackson Summers, great teammate, good leader as a senior. He's off to do great things this year, but he had a great week. So he's my number 3 spot on my Fave 5.
Then moving over to Washburn Rural, where we're going to talk about Haley Beck, who has had 7 shutouts on the season, including having 5 in a row as the goalkeeper for Washburn Rural. She's having one of her best seasons, and yeah, she's going to compete for that all-class title, and she should be known as one of the best goalkeepers in the entire state, no matter the size. So shout out Haley Beck. You just made the list.
Absolutely. Haley Beck having one of the best years out of anybody in all classes. I agree with you 100%. That's a great pick. My number 2 spot, we're going to hit the pool. We're going to dive on in there. Where Audrey Appen from Washburn Rural, she picked up individual wins in the 200-yard freestyle and the 500 freestyle, and also teamed up with Kirsten Harris, Mara Bear, and McKenna Pritchard to win the 200 medley relay. Audrey Appen had a pretty good day at Topeka West Invite, so I think she'll be on my Fave 5 list at number 2.
And then my number 2 spot, going over to Northwest Topeka with Seaman, JC Schumann. JC Schumann scored 2 straight goals to open the second half scoring and completed her hat trick with 3 minutes left in the half. Schumann had a big part in the 7-0 win over Leavenworth.
Great pick. That leaves me my number 1 spot. Here we go. Silver Lake again. We're going to stick with Silver Lake again here, except we're going to go to baseball this time. Logan Cathcart threw his first ever high school no-hitter in the win against Wabunsee. 59 pitches, but just in 6 innings, 7 strikeouts, and a walk. He also had a gigantic part in the one of the rally wins against Rossville. Logan Cathcart, he had himself a week. He had himself a great week. As a matter of fact, but I want to congratulate him on his first ever high school no-hitter, and having a memorable week and a couple of rally wins and a convincing win against Wabunsee. So good job, Logan. You just made the Fave 5 list at my number 1 spot this week.
And then my number 1 spot, We've talked about it, I think, every single week of spring sports. And I have to throw in my Go Big Red bias at this point. Emerson Cope from Washburn Rural made my number one spot. She tossed a no hitter in the opening game with 14 strikeouts, also put the Junior Blues ahead to stay with a 2-run home run in the third inning. She can do it all. That's why she's going to the best college in the country in Nebraska. She's going to do great things there. Go Big Red. She'll continue to do great things this year because she is just an absolute stud. But congratulations. You just made my list. But with that, that is the episode, the first episode in a couple weeks. We will be back next week with another episode of Top Sports Talk. Once again, always remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the content, which if you made it this far, it seems like you did, and then hit the bell so you never miss an episode. Isaac, you got anything else before we sign it off?
Don't forget to subscribe. I heard it's bad luck if you don't. If you do subscribe, you have good luck forever. It's like those old chain messages you just get on the flip phones. It's a lot of people that are watching this won't understand. Caleb, we're entering our final. Well, you're done with college, right? You're
Yep.
done. I'm almost there. I'm almost done, but I still remember. I remember the joy I got from a flip phone and opening up and seeing a chain text message saying, if I ignore this, I get 1,000 years of bad luck. So if you open this video and you don't subscribe and you don't like it, 1,000 years of bad luck goes your way. Sorry. Just throwing that out there, just relaying information. It's nothing other than that. It's just something I have to say because it's just for informational purposes. So
Have to.
please do. No, you don't have to if you don't want to, but you should.
Yep. I agree. But with that, we'll see you guys next week.